Sounds better. Okay, you're in BC.
Yeah, I'm in Victoria, BC.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, where exactly are you?
Center of the U.S., Kansas City area.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And were you on our email list? First of all, how did you run into this? Were you on our email list, or did you just run into
I
this?
was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard about you from a friend,
Mm.
and went down the rabbit hole of your wiki and
Uh-huh.
everything you guys are up to, and that was fascinating and fun. I was inspired. Got on your mailing list, and then just saw the apprenticeship opportunity um, mentioned alongside the seed home, and uh, it's just one of those things where I guess super like all my sensibilities were like this is just such a well conceived idea. I think you guys are just thinking about these things brilliantly, and one of my first reactions was, man, I wish I was in my early 20s and could participate in this thing myself.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me more about, okay, so the specific things in the design of the program, how we're approaching it. What specifically is it for you?
Well, I liked. So I'm a learning psychology nerd,
Learning psychology.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so I started a healthcare education company a long time ago, and one of the angles that I took was just learn to learn modules,
Mm.
um, and that goes from the abstract to the specific, and giving people. Well, it's just so frustrating that this transmissionist approach to learning that seems to be the status quo, where uh, instructors speak things, and there's just an expectation for those to kind of find a way into the learner's minds. Uh, that is, I think, just really baked into a lot of our intuitions and norms around learning, and so just pushing against that and really focus on the meaning making and the transference to various contexts and to um, yeah, just asking people to do the work and put in the energy required to actually turn information into knowledge. There's a lot to that, and that's the good stuff. And I had a long formal educational experience, but out of poverty, like it was. I didn't start learning deeply until I started like really owning it and taking responsibility, and um, so that just really resonates to me as important. So hearing your focus on learn to learn, um, I I love that, and I've always thought that even at a younger age than what I think you're trying to attract, I think it's great for young folks to get the opportunity to do real, purposeful, meaningful work. I think that is just such a rich and welcome environment, and probably developmentally appropriate for even kids as young as 14 years old, um, as opposed to, sit and be quiet and listen in the classroom. And my big passion is um, just, for lack of a better phrase, like just cleaning up the mess, ecologically, socially, politically, economically, um, just in all domains, and they're all very much fitted and interacting with each other. And it's really clear to me that the paradigm that you that I perceive is at play with um, everything you're doing. It's simpatico with that, and you're doing stuff. You're not just thinking and talking about it. Like the tool library and the Seed Eco Home. I'm really inspired by your work, Marcin. I think it's
Yeah.
brilliant. I love your story. My first exposure after hearing about you, reading about you, in hearing about you from a friend and reading about you in a book called by Patty LaFluffy. I'm not sure if you've heard this guy.
Yes, yes. Contacted me
Yeah.
regarding some feedback. Yep.
So yeah, I he's my friend
Oh, so Patty's
I
your friend.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I read his
Cool.
book, was inspired by that, went
Nice.
to
Wow.
look up what you're doing, and so I've been a fan ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's the draw.
Mm.
I'm really enthusiastic for the work you're doing, and I love and appreciate that um, bright and bold souls like you are out there doing this stuff. And then yeah, it strikes me that, gosh, well, it would appear that you're building uh, an ecosystem for open source ecology to kind of propagate, so to speak. Um, and maybe, I love the idea of being like a satellite amplifier, or
Mm-hmm.
if the right partner comes along that is all in and energetic and um,
Right. Partner. You mean
full.
a young person from your community?
Well, that's yeah, and that's where it clicked that, oh wow, like maybe um, we could have some win-win arrangements similar to what I outlined in the email to you. And what a great way to kind of help make it happen for someone. What a great opportunity. I would love just to form a connection with this individual and get on and one of the conditions would be like, I just want to hear what you're learning about and hear about the experience. Let's just keep a drumbeat of communication, um, and certainly when he or she is done, for them to come back, and I would love to co-create opportunities with them, and certainly with open source ecology too, if that ever makes sense. Like I said, I really respect what you guys are doing and how you're thinking. So
A
I'd
person from
be.
your community specifically. You're not talking about anyone. You want it. You want it home, which is
I want it
more
close to home.
stakeholdership.
Yeah, I want it close to home. I just, yeah, and about me, one of my there's a farm property in my family that's
Mm.
it's about 200 acres, and it's right on the outskirts of Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and right now they're just hayfields and forest. And um, one of my dreams is to transform that into uh, something really pro-social, pro-ecological, like regenerative, and things like Fab Labs and tool library. Like Patty really has inspired me in this space, but tool libraries, Fab Labs, education opportunities, regenerative farming, and see what happens from there. And this is a medium to long term dream, but it feels like this is a perfect seed to plant um, at this point in time to perhaps actualize that down the road.
Can you show me on a map where that is? If I show you show my screen, share my screen, or another time.
What I'll share my screen and I'll point to it. Let's open up
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Google Maps.
dream scenario. And dream scenario of this, if there's more individuals like yourself who encourages it. I mean, we're startup, so the time to get to full speed is the critical time. It's the chicken and egg problem. But I think we've got it nice in terms of the self-funding model. That's the key, man. Because okay,
Yes.
so the one thing about this is just FYI is okay. We got far doing the prototyping and all that, but when it comes to productization, it's even harder, right? And that's when you drop people off because nobody has the skill set to perform at that final level where you're actually taking this to a viable, replicable package. So for us, it's been great to do the swarms and everything else on the development stage and prototypes. That's easier, but then to take it to the finish line, different story.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine. Familiar with startup land, and just while I'm sharing the screen with you, though, this is. I'll just start drawing the lines. So this field is one. It's about 40 acres.
Mm-hmm.
This field is another. It's about 40 acres. This mountain is part of the property. This is all part of the property too. This forest, and there's some fields here. It's equestrian, but just like my mom rides horses. She's got a couple horses, and they used to breed.
For reference to Seattle.
Yeah.
Do you have lakefront? Oh, salmon front.
Oh, yeah. That's the Harrow Strait,
Mm-hmm.
and here's Seattle.
Man, yeah, nice location. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, it's a great little valley, and yeah, I'm actually just talking to some permaculturists right now. It's still being hayed. It's being hayed this year,
Mm-hmm.
but the soil is healthy. This lockside trail is like a well-trafficked bike trail,
Oh,
and it's got all this frontage to it. And then the highway is just right here.
yeah. There's some pretty prime land.
Prime land, yeah. And the whole parcel used to include this golf course. It was a consolidation project. They got caught up into like agricultural land reserve rezoning, and so 50 years ago, my dad and my dad, his brother, and a business partner, they bought it up for a song, and yeah, it's been a great legacy. And they've enjoyed the hayfields just because they don't like. I don't know. That's more the aesthetic that they prefer. But all of us, I have two siblings, and my dad's 83. My siblings and I are really keen to operationalize this as
Golf course is part of the land.
well. Now it's a separate parcel, but originally the golf course, Maddox Farm, which is I think that no, this area is Maddox Farm. Was all and even like where these houses are was all part of a 400-acre parcel that was being aggregated for development, but then it turned into agricultural land reserve, which put a lot of limitations on what the land could be used for. And so the massive East Coast developer that was doing the project just tied it off and put it up for sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and then so yeah, there's a high school, just since we're talking about it, right here, Claremont Secondary School. It's a great public high school. They have a shop, like they have shop there, and they're going to be the first folks that if you were excited about the idea, that I'd reach out to. And I love the idea of promoting it to their student body broadly, or maybe by way of the guidance counselor, etc. As many students feel like this OSE opportunity is right for them. And I have good relationships with a couple other schools. I actually don't have. I'm confident in relationship building with these folks because I'm pretty active in the community.
Yeah.
And I know my sister went to this high school. But I have some great relationships with my former high school, and by way of some friends and colleagues to some others. So yeah, I think I went for a walk after seeing your email, and um, the brainstorm happened to me, and I was like, oh, this is great. I wonder if we could do something. So
You live
so
on
there we
200
are.
acres?
I live down the road, 5 minutes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, but I grew up there.
Do you have any specific individuals in mind?
No,
Okay.
no. I have some individuals in mind, but they're like, I know a guy who'd be perfect, and I sent him the link
Mm-hmm.
to the apprenticeship, saying this would be perfect for you if you weren't a ship's captain, because he just finished nautical sciences or nautical studies, and he's a ship's captain.
Mm-hmm.
But he builds a lot too,
Mm-hmm.
and he loves that kind of stuff. And he's just got a ton of energy, and he's just, yeah, he would be perfect for it. But he's like late 20s and on the other side of a big educational investment.
July 15th. Think we can do it? That's
Well, I think if once I get your blessing, I'm gonna fire off that email to Claremont right away. And this is the time like there's probably a bunch of students that aren't quite sure. Like they're probably making this is the right time to do it, because I'm sure they're all hatching their plans for next year. But yeah, I'd love to try.
I was looking at stats for starting. I was looking at stats for recruiting students for a class. Never mind building a school and everything else. It's on the order of 1 or 2 years. So I'm like, okay, let's aggressive marketing. But
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to push it back if needed. But I want to do it July. There's no need to wait. We'll see exactly how we do. And right now, I'm going to push out some other options. I mean, what is the most like? If I had a budget, which I mean, we have some budget and all that, and we have the ability to promote right now. What can we do right now that would guarantee that we secure 24 people who sign up for this only within less than 3 months? That's a question for you. Do we have suggestions? For me, I'm saying, okay, for one, let's talk about the possibility, because I think the realistic possibility in a management track, a leadership track, it's talking about leadership and running crews. So you're a construction manager. You still get the full treatment on the civilization design. You still do the 2 days per week of the actual build. The rest is you're in school. But I think the guaranteed outcome of that would be $95K if you make it per year. If you make it through that program, I mean that's attractive. I would push that. I would also push the idea of the other end, which is okay. If you're not this theoretician. You're more of the hands-on guy, but saving the world is a little far out. But you like the ideas. So how about we do another track, which is more focused on the trades route. So perhaps 4 days of the actual builds and 1 day of school. And for me, the school is important because we got to teach people to be humans and learn how to learn. I do want to, whoever we get is you have to continue your education. I don't want to give that part up. But that's just some latest thoughts on how to market this right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you get there's some thought leaders, so to speak, in the, I'm not quite sure what to call the spaces that OSE feels most well identified. Because it's multidisciplinary, but
civilization redesign, for lack of a better word. I mean, it's a big word, but I mean,
yeah. But like for like communities out there, there's like the Game Bee community and the intentional communities and the liminal web communities. I would imagine that if you got on podcasts and talked about this thing, a lot of people would be fascinated, and the reach of some of those gets into the ears of the perfect kind of people. And it's such a great story, Marcin, like it's motive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know what the story has done for me, and so I think if you tell that story to a large audience, you will be turning people away very quickly. It might be hard to line up those kinds of opportunities. Like we've done a bit of podcast marketing or influencer marketing for some various projects, and we have like there's a communications role that coordinates all this stuff, lines them up, pitches you, books interviews, etc. It's a bit of a to do, but gosh, I think that would probably be the biggest bang for your buck, because what the free thing to leverage is your mind and your story, and
sorry, what's the second thing?
your story.
Mind and story. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's what podcasts and conversations and the TED Talk, like that's what's your TED Talk does that very effectively. And it's so cool. Everyone who I show, like, because you appeal to the engineering, mechanical folks, and there's a lot of appeal to like the more granola ecological folks. And so I think you're a slam dunk in those types of venues.
How much do we want to, in this conversation, cover? So what do we do next on regarding, some practical details about this. So the 15K would be per year. Now the way we design it is that in the work study there's 2 days and long vacation. Vacation you can work. So if money is the issue, it should not be after the first. Even in the first year, you can bootstrap fund yourself. So we want to make that clear, that if money is an issue, then you can work study as much as you need to make it happen. Now the other thing is I would offer a few scholarships. Now you're coming forward with here's a scholarship, and if we can promote that kind of an idea too. But I want through OSE we can offer a few slots that are paid for exceptional candidates, so we can also push that. But the biggest part of it is that it's got to be, you can't get out of school and be in debt. That's not a good design. So that's definitely what we want to, the way we want to frame it.
Right. The one snag I ran into thinking this through was if I'm reaching out to schools and offering this scholarship, I want to understand well the criteria that you guys have in order to choose a candidate that would pass through that filter with flying colors.
Yep.
And I think
after this, I'd like to send that to you. Yeah, I'll send that to you. And
Great.
We're making the road by walking. I thought a lot about this. What are the critical things? The things that come to mind first. The collaborative mindset, the abundance mindset. But that's a catch-22. That's another chicken and egg, because that's what we're claiming we're going to teach you that in 4 years, because it does not exist. We are so. Word I ran into today was hyper normalization. We are so hyper normalized into believing that the current system of violence is okay that we miss. Like, if I say one thing that's in the way of OSE spreading, and that's the scarcity mindset or lack of an abundance mindset. People just don't use it normalization.
that's like frame it.
Is that a word? That's a thing?
Well, no, I haven't. That's a word that I use. Yeah. And I think it does a lot of work because people know what I mean right away, and there's a lot of shit that falls under that category that takes all of 5 seconds to start a list in anyone's head.
Abundance mindset, growth mindset. You are here to. And initially, I was looking at, the brain is fully formed between 25 and 27. 25 for women, 27 for men. I need people before that, before they're indoctrinated into jobs that have already hypernormalized them into thinking that, yeah, the system is okay, kind of thing. So I want to be very careful about that. People are young enough to learn. So, I mean, we're open to all ages. However, I mean, I would be very careful about selecting somebody who will not be open to lifelong learning. That's like the number one. And then beyond that, it's character. And I think the willingness to be called out, and that to me is, I don't know how you relate to this, but that's called humility. It's called character. Humility is the ability to be called out for the bigger game. What's really needed. You have to submit to the time you say, no, this is what needs to be done on the planet, and I'm going to do it. So that kind of, and of course, it's once again, it's when I think about recruiting, it's, well, these are all the things we're going to have to teach because they're so rare, and I'd be foolish to expect all of this in a single person already. And I think through my life, I'm over 50. Man, I've cracked a lot of learning on these topics, and there's so much more. So
yeah, nice, good. Those are the kind of humans I get excited about too. Great. So just for the practical side of things, and hearing the ages that you're interested in is really helpful too, because I was worried that perhaps 17, 18-year-olds are too young for this opportunity, but I'm glad that's the case.
But 17, in terms of 17, I think we have to have adults, like if we're working, but we're open to this. I actually also believe that I think probably from like 14, that would be a perfect candidate. 14 as well, people who are just, everything is possible, that's all.
Yeah,
right.
I'm convinced of that too, and I imagine that in years to come, there'll be great experiments to run with bringing in younger students and putting them to work on real projects and planting a lot of seeds. And a lot of educators will light up about this stuff too. They love it in principle. It's just they're unable to pull it off due to all the constraints that they're beholden to. Okay, so just as one to put a period on it, you're happy for me to reach out to some high schools in Victoria and offer a scholarship. You'll send me the criteria. Both. I'll use the slides, those Google slides that are. I forget how I found my way there, but I have them. I have it all. I can even CC you on my email to them.
Yeah, please do.
And then you can fill in blanks if you notice any.
And ideally, we inspire others to do it. Like for example, I would like to publish this video and say, "Oh, wow, this blows me away. Let's do this." So you can be inspiring other people in your position. I mean, there's other people like you, right? Is there anyone else out there like you?
You bet. And like I said earlier, I think OSE and the Seed Home and just this conception of education will appeal to a lot of different minds. I have a group of they're friends now, but we started as kind of entrepreneurial colleagues in the community, and they, I think, will be very excited about this, and I'll pitch it to. I meet with them next Friday. I can pitch it to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. What other practical details regarding that do we need to cover? Regarding getting started, like the materials. Are you clear about how to approach the people you are to approach?
Yeah, that's no problem. My open questions were the age thing, and then the alignment on criteria. Like if I find a student I'm excited about, and then pass them forward to your filter, I would. And I was nervous that there might be a mismatch.
the other thing to bring up is how we think about what happens afterwards. If we succeed in producing the kind of people we promise, I want to keep them all. But
Yeah.
but if they are truly collaborators, then they can be sent anywhere and collaborate in a greater network. So that's
And
see that.
well, I would imagine that you're looking for collaborators in with kindred sensibilities.
Well,
And
I think just to kind of get you into the bigger picture, I mean, there's by 2028 is in 2018. I promised that by 2028 we'll be done with the GVCS, the whole 50 machines. It's a huge enabler. You're building your own engines and tractors and homes and things. It's powerful. It's enabler, I would say, towards the $1 trillion level of economic activity. Like today, I was looking at bobcats, skid steers. I'm finding out, for example, the main drive motor lasts only 3,000 hours. That's not lifetime design. That's going to be that's like 2 years of 1.5 years of full-time use. It's like, no, that's not. That's going to crush civilization altogether because we're not ever going to escape the toil of keeping after our technology, not it serving us. So anyway, big deal to create a kernel that with lifetime design that truly frees you from a lot of the work that we have to do, so that we gain freedom in our lives. So 2028 is the promise I'm making, and as we grow the apprenticeship, people will be contributing to that, and that's like, okay, if we can scale as fast as we can on that, we're generating extreme effort towards that goal. But after that, I think it's bigger because of Sturgeon's law. You know Sturgeon's law?
no,
10% of everything sucks. Choose the 10% that doesn't. That applies in a fundamental way to civilization. And that means organizations and institutions. So with another 50 billion, I believe we can, in about 4 years after that, we're on another path. We're serious about open sourcing civilization. Okay, here's how law works in or whatever institutions. Here's how sound governance looks for your facility that you're going to build up, your 200 acres. You're prepared to because you know about how humans organize and how they use technology and all that. So, and this, of course, has a much bigger impact on how we literally redesign the institutions and organizations and institutions of civilization. So that's a big deal. So when we pitch, I mean, that's too much for anybody to grasp at this point. But that is just FYI as the bigger picture. That is the certain outcome, because I mean the world could be so much better, and we want to impact it significantly through this work, and that's why that's some of the teleology here. There's a purpose, so it's not about we're just going to open source these 50 machines or whatever. There's a much deeper design of getting past the collapsology and the normalopathy and all that of civilization. So yeah, we're for real, and that's the kind of message we want to spread to people. So for example, with the collaborating efforts like yourself, one of the goals for the people is, okay, let's learn design at scale. So how do we have thousands or tens of thousands of people collaborating in real time? Okay, we got to design a spaceship to go to Mars. We can do it like literally in a weekend. Like seriously, take 1,000 people over a weekend sprint, and we have designed that bobcat that you need or whatever. So you need your new haying equipment. You've got an immediate problem. We can swarm on it and solve it on the spot because we know how to break down tasks and we have the audience to do it. That's the kind of context I want your facility to be set up. You know how to do that. Your people know how to do that, and they can join this for the purpose of benefiting everybody. So that's kind of like the bigger. Does that all make sense or not really?
Oh yeah, no. I'm tracking every point.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's. I just copied in that quote from Ilya Prigozhin that when a system is far from equilibrium, small islands of coherence in the sea of chaos have the capacity to lift the entire system to a higher order.
Yeah, it's that. We're talking about evolution of civilization.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. It gets better and better by the day, man. Yeah.
Good for you. It lights me up to see the success and progress and enjoyment that you're having with all
Yeah,
this. This is, another offbeat way of frame. This is your soul work, and you're freaking loving it. And
yeah, exactly.
I just smile from ear to ear when I get the unique, all too rare pleasure of seeing that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's brilliant, and I'll be really happy to support. And I'm sure that as things unfold, opportunities for engagement will reveal themselves, and when there's and consider me long term interested to help OSE and what you're trying to do. And this is a great start, and we can see where it takes us, and take more steps thereafter. And whether if you keep your wonderful graduates, that's not a second place outcome. But if they come back to Victoria, I'll put them to good work and do something very much simpatico with what you're doing, or perhaps talk to you about, maybe by then it makes sense to fractally distribute the effort and run programming in a place like Victoria. Who knows? We'll see.
There's a safety valve there. We collaborate. We're gonna be in open negotiation throughout the whole process, never splitting the difference.
Yeah, omnipositive outcomes, man. Win-win-win. That's the way to do it. And it's just sometimes a bit tricky. It's a bit narrower path, or a bit harder design challenge, but it's there. None of this bullshit return on money return stuff. Yeah.
Tell me about your company and how you're doing with that. Is that working out well for you? And
so my professional background, I started some health businesses in my 30s, and within those businesses, my favorite part was creating new programs and building teams and leadership. And it occurred to me 4 years ago now that, gosh, that's where I'm at my best, and what I really enjoy doing. And healthcare was just off the center of the bullseye of my interest area. And so I made a deal with myself that when I turned 40, I would just be working on center of the bullseye stuff, which is represented by this adventure studio that I started. And yeah, some of the projects I'm working on there, I'll share them with you. One is like this community building secular church thing that really nurtures wisdom, wonder, community itself, and gives an opportunity for kind of non-religious affiliated folks to nurture parts of themselves that don't really get much oxygen in our culture. So that's one. And another is...
What corporate form? What form are you executing this in? Are you actually going to do like a church or a nonprofit, or is this... tell me more a little bit about a business form or enterprise form.
We have our first meeting on June 1st.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't incorporated as a society, a not-for-profit society, or as a business. So right now we're experimenting. We just have a list of 30 invites and all the pieces in place, and it's scheduled for Sunday, June 1st. And we're going to decide together, kind of at that meeting, and we might take another couple beats to discover what this is together, and then consecrate it into a formal organization.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're just going to say, hey, this one cost, $600 or whatever. Maybe donate $30, or it just by donation for the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Another cool one I did was just being in healthcare. I'll show you the link for this one.
Mm-hmm.
npo.org. This is so we run a lot of mental health at the clinic, and I've just been struck, and I've attended some conferences and read a lot of the literature on psychedelic psychotherapy. And the problem is, it costs like $7,000 to avail yourself of that in North America, either at a ketamine clinic or you have to fly down to Costa Rica or South America to do a retreat.
Mm-hmm.
But and there's a quite a distance between the party culture festival experience with psychedelics versus kind of a well facilitated intentional experience where you're working on patterns and wounds and the programming that might serve you but probably doesn't. And so I just want to make a completely free, really high quality resource
Mm-hmm.
where people could download it, and like there's guidebooks there.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole point is now for the, I'm not sure about all the, I know some jurisdictions in the States it's fairly easy to come by, but up here there's 100 sites online that are to one degree or another trustworthy, where you can buy some of this stuff. And so for the cost of a substance of $20, you can avail yourself of this really unique opportunity that has, there's risks to it, no doubt, but that's the point of this thing, is to mitigate those risks and to enhance the likelihood of a really positive experience and outcome. And
Do you have legal blocks on that right now, or no? This is all.
so something like this, there's no legal issues. It's like a harm reduction project.
Mm-hmm.
In Colorado, it's legal. In New Mexico now it's legal. They just announced it. In Oregon it's legal.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's one other state. In BC it's been decriminalized in Vancouver, or at least the Vancouver Police Department has been instructed not to enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just waiting for the gears of policy to figure out how to manage this, because really good science has already happened. It's just taking these I think were misscheduled in the late 60s, early 70s, or whenever that happened. And because of that, that's where they've been starting from in this resurgence. There's a really high bar to be met for these to be available and kind of sanctified through policy. And people do, like, you can get an exemption from the Minister of Health to use this for like end of life cancer, anxiety, or unremitting treatment resistant depression. And there's ketamine clinics abound, because it's an off-label use of ketamine, which evokes a similar psychedelic-ish experience that has similar but slightly different outcomes for folks going that way. But yeah, that was another project. We undertook that a few years ago, and that was actually, like, we had so much fun doing that. And what I noticed, Marcin, was people will work on that without the requisite, like, remuneration. Like, this is a side hustle where there's a lot of energy for, and people are like, me and my friend whipped this up together, and neither of us got paid for it. There's no design of getting paid for it. And we hired a designer who gave us a cut rate because he just loved the project. And so across the board, you had people that they very quickly had a high level of enthusiasm for it. And as such, economic calculus changed.
Mm.
And this is just something they wanted to do. And that was one of the validators for this purpose-based venture studio. And there's the list of projects, and I'm planting seeds for many of them. Some of them are a little bit further along. Most of them are still quite nascent. But there's a lot. There's a lot like heating up in the allegorical kitchen here, and I some of them I think are going to be just freaking delicious dishes, and yeah, and I'm so I feel the energy when I'm working that I see in your face, um, and so that's why I can kind of empathically,
Okay.
kind of vicariously, kind of feel that,
Yeah.
and I know I know what a blessing that is, really. I think
Yeah, it
that's
is.
it's just it's cheating. Like,
It's cheating.
when normal is like just whipping yourself to work and get stuff done, like caring that much or like being that excited into something, just you can outwork anyone. And you're up at night thinking about this shit, but it's like a pleasant
Yeah.
sleeplessness. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, it's cheating. It's
yeah.
cheating. Um,
It's shitty.
it's
So if we find some young folks like this
oh.
and
Mm.
nurture these characteristics, the potency of that, like talk about island of coherence, um, like and with these technologies that are amplifying our ability to create, like it's wonderful.
Mm.
There's obviously a big conversation to be had about the rate of change technology, but certainly for those of us that like to um, be creative and start things.
Mm.
It's never been easier,
Yeah.
and
Oh man.
and
Yeah.
the nice thing is that
It's true.
we're not competing. I mean, secular church or all together now or get together. We're not sure we're going to call it yet. Copy us. We want you to. Like this is something. This is not a. This is not a startup that we're trying to be defensive and build a moat around.
Are you defensive about other things? You got to be proprietary to some of your stuff, or how's that work?
Certainly, yeah. For some of it, definitely, there'll be a different logic to each
Yeah.
project, but the sense of the omnipositive motivation, like the kind of the rule is no harmful externalities, or when there are some, like we're choosing wisely. We're doing it with it's in full view, and we just want to do it right. And like we said earlier, it's just a harder design challenge. Um,
Yeah. Harder design
but
challenge indeed.
but it's possible, and young folks, um, they want to patronize and like be associated with projects, brands, businesses, whatever that are purpose driven,
Mm-hmm.
that they like, and they want to work for those places. So there's some countervailing forces that are rewards for people that aren't just abiding by traditional startup economic venture backed um, sensibilities.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like that law, the 90-10 law,
Yeah.
Trojan
Sturgeon's law.
Sturgeon's law. Um, uh, yeah, I'm definitely trying to build in the 10%, and I know also that for many projects, each project has its own logic to be wonderful, and for something like what you're doing, there's so much sophistication and technical um, complexity that gosh, that's not a lift. I would be, I'm not the person for that job, but I don't know. For other just there's other areas I'll focus my time on, but yeah, these things all, I think we're kindred spirits, and I think the projects we work on are kindred too. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about so maybe so you mentioned who was the liminal? Was it liminal? What you mentioned?
Liminal web?
Liminal web.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the one of the most influential folks in that domain is Daniel Schmachtenberger.
That's that. I call that meta crisis stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Meta Crisis is.
Mm.
I'm sure. Let's see. I'll.
So what's that mean? I never heard of this stuff. I heard the
Oh, so
term.
the.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Schmachtenberger these days. I got inspired by a few. Um, um, Johari. Indy, is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. No, Dark Matter Labs.
Yeah. Oh man, that's
Great.
like that was.
He's another inspiration
That
for
was
me.
another. That if there's one person out of that collapsitarian, I call it collapsitarian circle, he's talking pure creation. I think a lot of the other guys are talking. I actually think they're dangerous for mental health because I don't think it's true what they're saying. Like fundamentally, we're not in a. My opinion is that fundamentally we're not in a crisis because of the 10,000 factor of solar energy that comes to the sun, and more than we need today. All the fossil fuels that have been created on Earth are the equivalent of about 8 days of solar energy impinging on all the Earth's surface. So if you take a zoom out, we've got absolute abundance from first principles. We just need to wake up. And that
Yeah.
transition, I think, can occur rapidly. And that's how we're trying to design a program. Let's just, let's get on with evolution here kind of thing. Because we're at a real, sounds like a real point of danger, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't need negative psychology we don't need any fear together, because I think if we were like truly screwed and there was no energy, no resource, no material abundance, then we could be in trouble. But I just don't believe that's fundamentally the case at all. It's far from it. Far from it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're at a there's a Chinese proverb, or it might be like a Chinese curse, which is "May you live in interesting times." And we live in interesting times.
Yeah.
My goodness.
For
better and for worse. So yeah, the meta crisis folks. It's not just it's Daniel, John Vervaeke, Bonita Roy, Nora Bateson, Horace Landry, Jordan Hall, Layman Pascal.
John Vervaeke has got a good definition of meaning.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah.
Charles Eisenstein.
Yeah. Okay.
So these folks, and Zach Stein, who I love, I'm going to see him actually next week.
Oh yeah.
He's actually a philosopher of education, and I'm sure you would love his book, Education in a Time Between Worlds. It's a beautifully written book, and as a starting point, Zach's he speaks very clearly and exhaustively in his podcast interviews as well. So, he's an inspiration. And those folks, like there's a lot of actually, you know who would love talking to you is Nate Hagens. Have you listened to his podcast? He would love talking to you.
Yeah.
You should be on that podcast.
Okay.
You are his jam. He's a bit of he's very pessimistic. But push. It would be a good opportunity. He's a great listener and conversationalist. He doesn't complexify things, but he's a good, relatable voice with a pretty big audience, I understand.
Yeah.
And he would get such a kick out of what you're doing.
Okay.
I guarantee he would just love having you on his podcast. He's had Indy on his podcast.
Okay. Can we work on getting any of these? Are you in touch with them or?
I'm not. I don't have a relationship with him. I'm just. He's on my podcast feed, and when he has an interesting title, I listen.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned from experience that it's not hard to get in touch with these folks, especially when you have a TED Talk. Especially like a brief intro to you and what you're up to. Um,
Should I
I,
contact Zach Stein, or do you have a?
well, I'm not sure that Zach Stein hosts any podcasts. He's often a guest. But if you're inspired by his work, I'm sure he'd love a conversation. I can talk to him next week and just let him know what you're planning, and if he's shows an interest, I'd love to connect you to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other guy who I'm good buddies with, he's a little bit outside of the liminal web, but we're like good mates, is Alexander Biner. He does a podcast, but I think Nate Hagens would be just the perfect choice. Oh, and then who would be good is Future Thinkers. I think this is what they're called. Future Thinkers. Yeah. UV.
Alexander Biner is Institute Montana Chairman. Is that what it is?
Okay, Alexander Biner, Kainos.
Oh no, that sounds like psychedelics and sense making with Alexander Biner.
Yeah, that's the guy. I don't think he's a great gateway into the podcasting community. He knows everyone. But UV, the Future Thinkers, which is UV and Mike, they would love to have you. They're all about starting up like civilizational redesign and kind of a tech forward rethink on creating community and infrastructure.
Who are the individuals there? Future Thinkers?
I just put it in the chat. So Future Thinkers, UV Ivanova and Mike Gilliland.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so my top two suggestions to get the name out is Nate Hagens. Because it's called The Great Simplification.
Can do that. Tell me more about people. You said You mentioned Plan B.
Yeah, this is the other guy who. Oh yeah, glad you asked. Jim Rutt. He's, I think, he wouldn't say he's the leader of that, but he's definitely a leader, and he's a brilliant thinker with a big personality. But he's got a great podcast, like really good. He would love talking to you.
Are you in contact with him, or is it a friend?
No, he's another one that I've been inspired by, and yeah, he's I'm not sure if Alexander knows him, but they're in the same circle. But I'll tell you, like, create relationship with one of these folks,
okay.
And then that'll be a great gateway to find others and to, in a sense, kind of the social proof to be on one will count to get on others. And I know for a fact that you guys would have a very successful conversation.
Images.
They'd be fascinated with the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, that's great. Um, as a question, a practical question surrounding people like Nate, can you explain to me why he says that, oh well, PV is great, but it takes so much energy to produce it, and we'll never escape that fossil fuel trap. But that is so untrue because PV pays for itself, especially the way we design systems. You're talking about 1 year or less that it paid for itself in terms of the energy embodied in the PV. And that's the kind of numeracy I teach in my school. but uh, but the fact is, you've got a little investment of energy that keeps producing. And so why is Nate not absolutely thrilled about that? He talks kind of like, oh well, but about it.
Well, I think uh, he would raise a few. I don't think he would dispute any of the mathematics, but he would suggest how with this uptick in renewables, we haven't seen a decrease in fossil drive fuels,
Well, yeah, absolutely. That's right.
and always the goalposts move, and there's
Mm-hmm.
no sense of there's very little. There's only short-term dopamine hits that you get to reward your efforts.
Yeah.
And I think that promise, like people just that promise gets betrayed again and again, but people stay committed to that game because they're told to, because that's what normal apathy. Like it's it's
Yeah.
um,
Mm.
it's at this point intuitive for us to think like, oh, we just need to improve the recipe of our life, and then we'll be happy and not depressed. Or maybe we just give up and succumb to distraction and coping.
I
And
yeah.
yeah,
You want to hear my take on that?
yes,
I think it goes back to the reptilian brain, fear, and scarcity that it causes. So what you said is, in my book, an aspect of scarcity mindset, and it's fundamentally
yeah,
determined
yeah,
by the reptilian brain, where we're in fear. Instead of seeing the opportunities, we're reacting badly. Like gets to scare people because of that. We get to think we're gonna, lose our lives and we need insurance because of that. Like we think there's not enough for everybody because of that. I think it's a realistic update of our n- nervous system. That's like the next evolution. I actually call it I make up words like neuroplastic sublimation. So we can actually wire our brain to sublimate issues, and if we do that enough, I mean, rewiring the brain, that's a common thing. That's neural networks. If we do that enough, we end up changing our actual brain structure and passing it down through the genes. That's I think what we're up to. Your work on psychedelics or other things, that's a pathway to it too. Uh,
mm,
towards what I call neuroplastic sublimation idea, that we can improve our mindset and then actually hold on to that mindset. Because a lot of times, like, how do you hold on to like good thoughts or actual evolution that you make personally? Well, sometimes you lose it the next day. You forget about it and you move on to other things.
yeah. You
But
go to sleep and wake up, or you go back to your job on Monday.
right,
It's
right.
that novel environment is so important to ramify any fresh mindsets
Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah,
Um, right, and those the normalopathy that we go through. It's like, okay, those are all those messages we hear every day. I don't know. I always talk about that, like the source being scarcity mindset, uh, as like when you get into the psychological aspect of it. That's the reptilian brain. That's it's just like the structure we still have from the neocortex. I think came in like 200 million years ago. The reptilian brain is way older than that, but that just doesn't disappear. But I do think, like, if we actually think about this and act on things like the abundance thing and all that, because the reptilian brain was quite valid maybe up to like definitely like 2,000 years ago, where people would kill you, you know, or even like last century, where people think it's like, oh yes, slavery is cool, or you can rob people, robber barons, or like colonialism, whatever. People still think that robbing people and killing people is fine, and that some of that exists today, but it's just not necessary anymore because of the extreme productivity that civilization has created. So now we have an option to actually thrive for all of us, but those outdated structures which said that, oh well, I gotta fight or flight, I gotta get my next morsel to eat. It is so outdated, and but that's just an artifact of the reptilian brain thing, the fight or flight thing. But anyway, the way forward is to, well, evolving like as humans, but also then it biologically when it start evolving in the longer term, and that's kind of like what we talk about is like you can evolve all this, and none of this stuff is fixed. It's like we can work and accelerate progress on all of this kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
Nice. Yeah, I think humans really are an accelerant to evolutionary process.
Yeah.
I think of it as Mother Nature's roll of the dice. Mother Nature loves novelty, and she likes action and creation, and so she took a chance on us as agents of herself to supercharge evolution. I mean, evolution is just boring. It's so slow and plodding, and in a playful, pejorative way.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, I think the most impressive resource, the most valuable thing that we have is a generative ecology.
Yeah.
A healthy ecology that generates stuff. It created us, for Christ's sakes. And while I am swayed by arguments of technologists that the promise of abundance is present. Well, I think there are real risks of things unraveling, for lack of a better word, because we are part of a complex system with tipping points and uncertainty, and we are debasing it and interacting with it powerfully and without much awareness of what happens next. Like if the AMOC current goes, or the water pump of the Amazon goes, or like this permafrost melting and the amount of methane, there's real things to worry about. And I think the conversation has to get more mature than you're on one side or the other.
Yeah.
It's more just this clear-eyed stance of never before have we, in the same view, seen such promise and potential for humanity, and such risks on account of humanity. And that's such an interesting time to be alive.
Most interesting time to be alive. I'm not saying that all those risks are not real. They're absolutely real, and we're absolutely going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we're going in the right direction, just to clarify. But if we choose to, we can. but we need a mid-course correction.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I'm invigorated. I was having a hard day, and this really charged me up. So thank you for that, Marcin. I think tomorrow I will copy on that email to Claremont and look for that. And maybe actually first send me. You can send me some criteria
to clarify my thoughts on it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And any other guidance that occurs to you that might be important for
absolutely.
Reaching out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would just love to be listening to you on some of these podcasts, and I'll see how it goes with Claremont, and if it's a successful, if they're excited, and I'll reach out to other high schools too, and perhaps there's some local high schools in your area that might respond similarly.
one more item on that. Have you ever heard of Acton Academy?
You sure have.
That would be an audience for Launchpad. Try to contact them. You know anybody there by any chance?
I don't. One just opened up in Nanaimo, but it's just the youngins. They're just early grade school. I know the most established one is in Austin.
Early grade, but they also have high school. It's called the Launchpad.
They have high school in Austin, yeah, and there's a bunch. I think there's like hundreds throughout the states. But oh, they'd love it. Like they do some of that stuff that's really inspired me. Like they do Socratic questioning at young ages. They do entrepreneurial activities at young ages, and it seems very simpatico with what you're doing.
And regarding the practical, because we're going to teach this, but also create the road by walking. Do you have any comments on the pedagogical methods, which kind of you say you inspire people and find ways to do that? Do you have any hints on that? Like, what is the actual method you use? Is that a thing or whatever? Or
Yeah, well, for learning to learn, or like just taking that approach, like I think there's a ton of principles to weave in, but gosh, like layer one of the conversation could be just tactics. Like, okay, today we're gonna learn about consuming news. Sense like we're going to learn about consuming information and epistemology, sense making. One of the things you can do right off the bat is say, make some guesses about the kind of things you're going to learn today, or make some like have them prime the pump, so to speak, and get engaged, get stakes, like make a bet on what they're going to learn, and all of a sudden their brain is just turned right on. And then there's all this like write a tweet about it after, not an actual tweet, but just like you just learn something, write it out in your own words, or make a flowchart diagram of this concept yourself, and you'll very quickly and just the energetic work of having to do that.
Right.
Not only does it expose the shortfall of like their understanding, but it's like doing a brain workout, which will cause the like plasticity to work in your favor. Like the amount of like everyone will go, oh man, do I have to? Because it's so much more energy conservation by just sitting there and like, yeah. But once they're called upon to do that, that they'll remember that. They'll remember it way more. And then transferring it to new environments. These are like, I think I have 10 tactics. These are those are three of them. Other things is, as like more principles, another layer is, it is really important for kids like, or anyone to learn about what they're interested in and learn on the margin of their competence. Like have learning pathways instead of like age matched curriculum. So kids can like the thing that happens in school all the time is either it's too hard and they get discouraged and they tune out, or it's too easy and they get bored and tune out. And there's very few people in the mean or median that are like a good match for the curriculum. So I think it's really important for them, one, to be curious about it in general. So the challenge is either letting them lead that and following their curiosity, or creating a story or narrative that makes them curious, see the relevance, and like have their fascination turn on. But then to have the challenge at the right level. That's what video games does so well. Video games is basically the art of getting people to the cusp of their competence and like failing a couple times and then succeeding, and then it gets harder and then they fail a few times. Yeah.
Is there a name for what you said about guessing what you will learn today? Is that like a pedagogical
Um,
thing? Is that like a common technique?
I have a learn to learn slide deck. I'll just
Send
pull
it
it
over.
up and
Send it over.
share it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second question would be, who is the thought leader on learning how to learn? Have you identified that? I don't know that
Um,
answer yet.
I don't have a confident answer for you. Um, but one person who I was so inspired by brought her out to speak to Tall Tree. We do an annual summit. Um, and we invite a thought leader to come out and speak to the everyone. And we had this learn to learn lady, and she wrote a book called Learning by Design Meets Neuroscience. And her name is, I'll just send you a link. This book had a big impact on me. Her name is Judy Willis, and this is a link to the book that I initially read and inspired me, caused me to invite her out. She is great, great. So I'm not sure if she's like the number one best. I'm not sure how productive she is with new content, or if she's like on the podcast circuit. I haven't searched for her. Um, but Judy Willis, she's brilliant. Oh, oh no, it's not.
Yeah. No, this is great because you know the coolest thing about for me, I'll be learning more than anybody else. This is good. I'm already learning right here, man. This is great. Yeah. No, I mean
Yeah,
that's how we treat
it's the
it.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one maybe last meaning in life. That is that good answer to two questions. What would I want to exist even if I don't? And how much of a difference do I make in it? That's
So
Vervaeke's definition of meaning.
okay, say that one more time
Yeah,
for me,
meaning in
please.
life. John Vervaeke claims that living a meaningful life, having meaning in life, is having good answers to two questions. What would I want to exist even if I don't? How much of a difference do I make to it?
Hmm.
I love that. It's profound.
Yeah.
Like another first one is humility. Okay, it's stuff that's worth doing. And the second one, do I have agency in it? And agency is a key thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, great. I have, um, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm doing some writing, and I'll share this learn to learn thing with you. And when it's ready, I'm going to share something else with you, probably in a couple months.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm excited to share it to you. I know you're going to love
This
it.
is great. Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This is really, I feel great. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
And I'll look forward to everything that comes next.
Yeah. We'll just keep a live channel open. Okay.
Great.
I'll ask you more questions. I'm going to try to contact the people you're talking about, getting some podcasts. That would be a good thing. I don't know about the
Yeah.
timing on that in terms of our apprenticeship, but yeah, I'm doing what I can. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great, Marcin.
Okay.
Okay. Real pleasure.
My pleasure, Bradley. Thank you.
Okay. See ya.
Talk soon.